Wow, here we are again. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. The poems of Addie Hutchins. Addie Lincoln Hutchins. She was a lighthouse keeper, her husband was, on Boone Island in the state of Maine. And she wrote poems in this collection and published by her daughter, Shirley Kelly. And the cover artwork was the granddaughter, Carol Williams. And it was edited by a grandson named Billy Kelly. And my Aunt Shirley sent this to my wife, Ernestine Hutchins, and me, Peter Hutchins, who are the grandchildren of Addie Hutchins. She was born Addie Lincoln on May 25th in 1894 in Blue Hill, Maine. She was raised on a farm with 4 brothers, 1 sister. Her sister passed away at an early age. She worked in a hairnet factory for several years. Then she was married at the age of 17 to a man named Walter Brown. This marriage lasted about 4 years, and she had 2 boys during this marriage. She married the second time shortly after the end of World War I to Harold Hutchins. They had 2 girls. Her husband became a lighthouse keeper, and most of her life was spent on many different lighthouses. Most of her inspiration for writing poetry was done as she sat on the rocks looking out over the expansive ocean. She was also a play-by-ear pianist and an avid churchgoer. She spent her later years in Portland, Maine, where she passed away on the 25th of July, 1991, at the age of 97. I visited her just prior to that. My wife and I drove to Maine from Georgia and visited Grammy. The table of contents is page 1, Fantasy. I'm going to read that poem. I took a walk one morning through the beautiful woods and glade, so fragrant and so lovely, with dapples of sun and shade. It was like a grand cathedral. The breeze made music sweet, murmuring through the treetops. The anthem did repeat. My footsteps hushed and silent upon the carpet leaves, not a sound to break the stillness except the singing trees. I sat beneath the willow, relaxed by beauty there. The world so far away, it seemed, with all its fret and care. Suddenly, to my surprise, I saw a castle grand, with a wide expanse of lawns and shrubs and flowers on all the land. A handsome prince, so straight and tall, came toward me. Call my name, Mary, darling, Mary. You called, and so I came, to tell you that I love you and want you for my bride. I'll give you gold and jewels and keep you by my side. Forever, forever, as long as life shall last, you will dwell in marble halls within my castle vast. I stirred and then I weakened, all things not what they seemed. I'd only been sleeping for a while and had lovely dreams. Wow. That was a beautiful dream, was it not? My Easter lady, in her Easter bonnet, all trimmed around with lace. My little Easter lady, so sweet, so fair to face. I call her Easter lady, the fairest of all the fair. I stepped along so proudly, we will make a handsome pair. I know the fellows envy me, my girl all dressed in blue. I'm walking on a cloud of bliss in places, an avenue. Me and my Easter lady, after the church is through, walking my Easter lady down the avenue in her Easter bonnet, German and oh so sweet, dressed in the latest fashion from her head down to her feet. I gaze down adoringly for all the world to see when my Easter lady is walking home with me. To Charlotte, oh lovely Charlotte, fair to see, bestow the loving smile on me, thy humble lover, who far away worships thy form as a distant star. Oh, fair Charlotte, Queen of grace, the rose no fairer than thy face. I love thine eyes, thy lips, thy hair. Oh, hardy Charlotte, lady fair. Wow. My grandmother was a poet of poets. The Starspangled Night in Hawaii. There's a beach and a moon in Hawaii where the stars shine so bright up above. It's the beach where we quarreled and parted, how cold it happened thus in our love. On a star-spangled night in Hawaii, while the breezes were sobering of love, on the soul-stirring night in Hawaii, the pale moon was shining above. It was there on the beach that you kissed me, that you told me loved me so true. But tonight I am sad and I'm longing for the beach in Hawaii and you. On a star-spangled night in Hawaii, where the breeze said aloha, where the sigh on the sweet scented night in Hawaii, it was there that you told me goodbye. Tears that you tried to hide as we parted shone like diamonds in your eyes, so blue. Now I walk on the beach, broken-hearted, on a star-spangled night without you. Our mothers, May 25th, 1921. Hey, we tried to make her happy. We all are bright and gay. We were sweet carnations, for this is Mother's Day. We take the household duties. We work with merry zest. We're tender, wise, and thoughtful. Mother's Day must rest. We are filled with a sense of duty. We all must do our part. And Mother, our patience, Mother, looks on with a loving heart. But some of us are lonely. There are some who can't be gay. No mother dear is with them to share this Mother's Day. God is His all-wise power has taken the loved one on home to sit in the place of righteousness there beside His throne. But you who still have mothers, don't wait from year to year, but try to make her happy each day of every year. We will wear the sweet carnation, 'tis of the day a part. Oh, let us try to wear them each day within our heart, and make a world-wide meaning to live with us always. Let each and every morning begin with Mother's Day. If your mother is still alive, don't fail as I did. Now my mother is gone, and I am still here. And I fail in my heart to think that I failed to be the son that I could have been and should have been and wasn't at times. 1929, the snowstorm. Here is my grandmother living on a rock, just a rock with a lighthouse on it. And a great snowstorm began, so gently white, feathering, drifting down, covering dales and hills with beauty fair crown. The trees were princeless, ermine, and the fences was sown down fair, each bush and branch abounding with lacy snowy hair. A winter fairland indeed, hushed the cold and still. Beauty conquered, caught in hell bent to the hold bent to the unseen will. But hark, the wind is freshening, the air is sharp and cold. The silence now is broken by wailing winds so bold. The snow comes thicker and thicker, and the wind now howling wild. A tearing, lashing monster, the thing of terror wild. Oh pity, men in ships, at sea out in this raging night. Oh pity, men and beasts abroad, unto this awful night. The storm that came so swiftly now roars and shrieks in glee, and drifts a pile tall and white as far as the eye can see. Within the home is warmth and cheer, the fire's burning bright. With games and stories, books and toys, we shun the winter night. All there's beauty in it, though it beats and rattles the window's panes. Majestic monarchs of the storm, your work is not in vain. How like the storm our life's a trace, with tempest and with tears, with sunshine, storm, and shadow, and travel through the years. As all-wise power has taught us to take things as they come, and so we find a beauty in rough and wintry storms. We plod along life's highway, content to play our part, in calm, in storms, in sorrow, for God is in our heart. I come from the state of Maine myself. I can remember 7, 8 years old, a snowstorm. We lived in a 2-story house, and the snowstorm covered up to the 2nd story. I climbed out of the 2nd story window onto the snow, went back down around, got a hold of a shovel, and shoveled out the front door so we could open it. We couldn't open it, open to the out, and we couldn't open the outside door, like a screen door, and it was a storm door. We couldn't open it because the snow was up against it. And so we opened it, but I remember that. The sunset of the Lighthouse in 1930. The sun was slowly sinking. The sky was bathed in gold. The rose and blue and silver, its beauty quite untold. I stood beside the lighthouse. My heart was filled with awe as I thought this moment of beauty, it worth waiting a lifetime for. Hey, the sea was calm and peaceful as I breathed the salty air. I looked at the rocky shoreline, no longer gray and bare, but changed by the golden sunset, transformed into one accord. The ugly changes to beauty by the gentle hand of God. Sometimes the sea is angry and bursts within the sullen roar, foaming and hissing fiercely right to our very door. Sometimes the sun is hidden by the clouds and clouds of bleak, but surely the sun is coming back. For after the clouds, the sunshine, and after the storm, the calm, and after the pain of heartache, a wonderful healing balm. Life's not all sunshine and roses. We have our troubles to bear, but it will have a smile for things worthwhile. We'll find contentment there. A learning, a little lesson, as I stood by the lighthouse tall and gazed at the beautiful sunset and the peacefulness over all. God's work are all so lovely, wherever one may be, and I have found contentment on the lighthouse by the sea. It is my favorite of all Mum's poems. I have only 8, I was only 8 when it was written. The more I read it, the more I get the message intended. And that was by her daughter, I understand, Shirley, I believe. No, let's see. Her daughter, Shirley, yes. Her daughter, Shirley. And we'll get another one in right here. And a storm at sea is a wondrous thing. A mighty power unfurled. A thing of waves and sun flickered foam. A monarch to the world. A storm at sea is a frightful thing. A thing of might and surge. Seeing the fury Hades loosed, 1,000 furies merged. It tears and rends with savage jaws all things within its reach. It clutters, batters, rumbles, roars. It reaches every breach. Staunch houses are but tinsel. Then its cruel, ruthless grasp. They have withstood the wear of years, yet crumble in the clasp. A storm at sea is an awful thing. Its many modes a part of this our wondrous universe, but God is in our hearts. Have you ever, when the wind is high, watched scudding clouds race across the sky? Listen to it, moaning low, as the trees say to and sway to and fro. And while listening to understand the things it tells throughout the land, of castles tall, of dreams untold, a fairy's glance of wealth of gold. Or castles fallen in the sand, ruined by the ruthless hand. These things and more it told to me, the wind and the soul of the wrestling tree. Of dreams we've had, yet unfulfilled, of griefs and sorrows, soothed and stilled, of joy, of love, sweet mystery, we've heard untold within the trees, of cottages and roses, where mother's face, a baby fair, welcomed dear ones at the close of the day, as sunbeams dance, as breezes play. It told of laughter, work and play, of all things dear that make our day. I found contentment, for don't you see, I talked with God in the murmuring trees. Wow. Fog. Fog was a great thing. It was moisture from the air that moistened the rocks on these lighthouse islands, that caused grass to be able to grow and trees to be able to grow, and birds brought seeds and dropped those seeds and trees grew. Now the fog drifts in, the kitten's feet so softly silent white, the shining sun, the horizon sky all hidden from the sight. The foghorn wails its dismal sound, rechanting from the hill. Bridles songs of mustard, everything is still, hushed and white and silent, wrapped in salty mist. Waveless lapping on the shore, softly as a kiss. Lighthouses are blinking, so ships can find their way. Oh, it's nice to go a walk on a misty, foggy day. And I lived in that before, so I know what that's like. And it's nice. June 6, 1940. You're just 18. The years have flown since first we saw your face, your babyhood, your childhood. The time has gone in space. Your little girlhood came and gone. Your grammar school days too, each one a star inset within pearls of memory for you. For on this day of days, for you, a new world opens wide, a world of dazzling promise, a vast new fields untried. You'll have your sorrows and your joys, your storms must come and you know, but may the days of joy by far outshine the days of rainy woe. And when you have a daughter grown, you'll love the years between, and memories wing, you'll skim the years when you were just 18. Written for daughter Shirley on her 18th birthday by Addie Hutchins, her mother. Wow. Love at first sight, 1940, December. A girl named Shirley met a boy one day. His eyes were very merry. His smile was oh so gay. He offered her some candy. It gave her quite a thrill. With a smile, her dimples showing, she said, "Why, thanks, I will." Soon they were chatting gaily, and they talked of sundry things, like sunny skies and moonlit cottages and kings. The boy said, just to break the ice, "I think you're pretty swell." The girl, a bit non-paused by this, could only answer, "Well, you work too fast, for after all, we scarcely know each other. My name is Dick. What's yours?" he said. "I'll treat you like a brother." "My name is Shirley, sir," she said. Her smile came shyly now. "While now we know each other," said she, and made a stately bow. They both laughed out in merry glee, till Shirley said, "Oh, mister, please tell me this. Shall I treat you like a sister?" They laughed again, and Shirley said, "I'm on my way too low." But Dick, made bold by Cupid's dart, said, "I'd like a date with you." They fell in love, and they were wed, and vowed to love each other. I wonder now, as he once said, does he treat her like a brother? Written by Dick and Shirley, just before their wedding day, January 19th, 1940. Wow, these are my kinfolks. And Armistice Day, November 11th, 1936. The flags are waving to and fro, and flown the field, and poppies grow. The years have passed, but memories flow about our honored dead. They died and saved us from the foe. No greater love child and human show than 'tis, and still the poppies grow above our honored dead. They died that we may happy be in this, the homeland of the free. God walks beside us, you and me, O loved and honored dead. Wow. Farewell, October 31st, 1939. My soldier boys were leaving for land so far. The band was playing gaily upon this parting day. The crowd was gay and laughing, a merry, jesty throng, until a voice said softly, "Someone sing us a song." A silence for a moment, then someone softly sang. Another and another, the voices louder rang. They sang the songs of marching, and the songs of o'er the sea. New songs and the old ones rang out rightly merrily. They gave us Annie Laurie, and coming through the rye, then rolling out the barrels, and honey, don't you cry. A silence then, and sadness, for the boys so far to roam. A sweet voice stated, singing, there's no place like home. 1,000 voices took it, and sang home sweet home. Be it ever so humble, there's no place like home. A hush and a whispered sobbing, ah, 'tis so hard to part. We have tried to hide with laughter the tears within our heart. But think of all the heartbreak in the countries far away, and thank our God we are living in our good old USA. And by the way, that is still happening today. It's so hard to let go. 1939. In a little English village where the sweet white hawthorn grow, a lad and a lassie trusting from after a bungled blow. Her soldier boy is leaving to fight against the foe. His little lass is sobbing, 'tis so hard to let go. I've tried, oh so hard, to keep smiling. I try, but tears seem to start. Oh, how can a fate be so cruel to put such a hurt in my heart? The flags are waving about us, so often the breeze bungles blow. The ache in my heart tells us both we must part. It's so hard to let go. So we want to join others on the battlefield so grim, gave his life to save another as his eyes were growing dim. Soft he murmured, I am going home to rest. You know, by a new green morn, she showed me. Sobbing, it's so hard to let go. Wow. 1939, Gay Paris. It's the not gay anymore. As I walk down the street here in Paris, all is changed. It's so strange and so still. Not a sign of this old gang of fellows, never a jack on his Jill. There's a strange, sobering note in the music of our gayest of towns, old Paris, and all the old songs, bits of sadness. Paris in the spring, and Marie. It is the shadow of war, with its horrors and death, looking in at the door, hushed as it noises, for it's taken our boys. Gay Paris, it's gay no more. There's a strange silence now all around in our gayest of towns, old Paris. Our hearts ache with tears, with longing as we pray, bring them back to Paris. Oh, the heartbreak of war is so cruel with death. Looking at the door, for woman must wait, still trusting in fate. The gay Paris isn't gay anymore. By the way, back in the 1939, the words that my grandmother was using here were words that meant what they said. These very same words, there is a generation who has changed these words, made them to be bad words when they were good words, and have changed their meanings. I love the spring when all the world is walking, fragrant dew, emerald, the budding trees, the birds sing, all tell the tale of lovely spring. The dawn comes in with rosy hue, the flowers tell their stories new, the cozy beds neath the winter snows, the violets and the blushing rose, beautiful. I can see this, I can smell it, I can see the marshes, I can smell it in my mind's eye. I can smell walking on the moss and in the grass, and the springing grass, the fragrant breeze, are whispering secrets to the trees. The earth is walking sweet in sky while fading winter passes by. There's mystery and sweet surprise in every leaf of budding cries, as joy to every heart you bring, oh sweet, oh lovely lady, spring. Man, did I used to love walking in the woods, in the moss, in the state of Maine. There's nothing like it. Nowhere have I ever been in all the states I've been in my life where anything compared to that. December 31st, 1932. Ring out the old, ring in the new. How oft we're heard it sung. We feel a bit of sadness, the while bells are rung. Our joys as well as sorrows, we're leaving all for new. We have a sigh, a little tear, of parting year with you. It's been a hard and weary climb, the old year, fought with pain. But men rise of her modes are with us once again. The new is with us, young and free. We're full of hopes and plans, of castles, builded dreams fulfill, of houses, of forest lands. The year is new. Cast out the old. We hear the sweet bells of chime, but take a cup of kindness, yet for a lewd long sign. Old years have gone. We've loved you well. We need must say adieu. So here's a hand in friendship, dear old year, goodbye to you. A cheery thought, all the way up in 1970 now. We went from 32 to 1970. It's never so dark that the sun comes up to brighten every day. It's never so rainy that skies turn blue as storm clouds pass away. The burdens of life are never so hard, but what there are happy days too. There's never a teardrop shed in despair, but there is a smile breaking through. There's storm and there's tempest. There's cold winds that blow, but there is one who watches and cares for us all. You see, he told me so. By the way, this is September 13th in the year 2020. This happens to be my birthday today. I'm 79 years old today, or 79 years young, whichever way you'd like to say it. And I'm going to read another one here that was all the way up into 1960. And it says, I broke my tooth. I lost my tooth. It wasn't such a little boy the day I lost my tooth. I guess I was maybe 11, say in my early youth. Some of my teeth were wiggly and loose as they could be. So my mother said, come here now. It will be easy. You will see. I said, oh no, it's going to hurt, and began to wail and weep. It is so loose, said Mother, you will not make a peep. But I was scared and asked her not to touch my tooth. On me, she said, all right, but you will bite or knock it out. You'll see. Well, it went on for many days. I hadn't lost it yet. I wasn't going to lose it till I fell out. You bet. Till it fell out, you bet. One day, as we were playing ball, not too long after that, the turn came up in record time for me to come to bat. I hit a homer, fast and fair, but for home plate, I had to slide. I bumped my mouth and lost my tooth, and 2 good ones beside. It hurt like 60, and I cried as hard could be. I couldn't hardly talk at all. I was toothless, don't you see? The years have flown. I've children now, both boys and girls, forsooth, all story time they clamor for the day I lost my tooth. This was written for my grandson Tom when he was a little leaguer baseball player. 1962. I was married in 1963. And a year or 2 later, we moved from Maine to Georgia. And I've resided here ever since. I'm going to read one more. The dogs and cats were out in force beneath the shining moon. The skies were clear. The stars seemed near. It was so light as noon. The dogs said bow. The cats said meow. We feel so very gay. Let's frisk and romp. Let's yowl and stomp. Let's drive dull care away. They danced and pranced upon the green. They galloped along around. There was no one to spoil their fun, and the moon smiled down so round. But suddenly a snarl was heard, and another. The dog and cat began to spat. They bit and clawed each other. They surely made the evening ring with squalls and barks galore, till just everyone was rushing to their door. Shoes and sticks flew far and wide, with shoes and scats applied aptly, and the cats scooted, and the doggies too. They scrambled off like 20. A peace and quiet once more reigned. The festival was over. No more they spooned beneath the moon, the tatty cat and rover. My poor attempt at verses will be to us worthwhile. It's good or not, it hits the spot and gives our Bill a smile. Written for grandson Billy, confined to his bed with rheumatic fever. Woo-wee, I had it too. I had rheumatic fever when I was a kid. That's why I have a skip in my heart. 1970. Did you ever watch the ocean beating on the rocky shore? Did you ever watch the sunset cover all the heavens o'er? If you never felt the beauty given extents like pain, there you've never seen the beauty or lovely state of Maine. That's the place where you'll find freedom from your worries and your cares. You'll find peace and sweet reflection as an answer to your prayers. Maine is all its splendor. Maine in all its homelessness makes you feel like God is nearer with a salt of holiness. For the air is a little sweeter as the tramp the dewy grass, and the bridal songs are sweeter from the treetops as we pass. We can search for fame and riches, fight for glory, try for gain, but to give your soul a heaven, find contentment here in Maine. I got news for you. Probably a truer poem was never written. The Peace of Maine. I remember getting up before daylight in the morning, get my little single shot 22, and tramp through the snow out back. The field was probably 100 yards, and then the wood line. I would tramp into the wood line as silent as possible, and find a pheasant. In those days, I could shoot the eye out of a pheasant, and with my little single shot 22, and bring that thing home and pluck it, and we would cook it and eat it, and that was some good stuff. Hey, let's look at the Coast Guard thoughts in 1969. Oh yes, I joined the Coast Guard. It seemed a thing to do. So I packed up my Dunnings and bid the folks adieu. I left them with a carefree heart and joined the boys in blue. It was a new experience, and how, I'm telling you. I had no idea what was in store. Not bad, I will admit, but not what I expected. I was homesick just a bit. I wandered out right then there, where but that was not for me. For Uncle Sammy and this boy did eye to eye not see. So I held on since I must, I did the best I could. The numerous to mention as things I knew I should. So I squared my shoulders, stood straight and stout. I vowed that I could take it if they could dish it out. Many days and many nights had gone before I found the Coast Guard isn't all that bad. I guessed I'd stick around. I liked the boys, I liked the chow. And most to my surprise, I found it really not so bad. I sort of liked it now. My granddad was a Coast Guard man many years ago. He was a keeper of a lighthouse, kept them all aglow. To lead safety all the boats that on the waters go. And so I'm in the Coast Guard and finding it so true. If you try to do your dearest, Uncle Sam is good to you. Written by grandson Tom when he was enlisted in the Coast Guard. That is a nice family piece there. My treasure chest. I have a little cedar chest with a lock and tiny key, and in it are some treasures that are very dear to me. Now I turned the key and left the lid in there for all to see. Not diamonds, nor jewels, nor anything worth much, but a pot of gold to me. Here's a bit of yellow ribbon from my little daughter's curls. Pink and yellow ribbons seem to go with girls. A ball of string, a marble, a tree dried up, a jelly beans, a token of my sturdy lad from the pockets of his jeans. Some dried up grass and clover picked from nearby woods to bring to Mrs. Mama 'cause she didn't feel so good. Here is my girl in her first long gown when she was just 16 to wear that night at the junior prom. To me, she was a queen. And here he is, my handsome lad, with a frown upon his face. Instead of at the junior prom, he'd rather be any place. Oh yes, they bring a smile, they bring a tear. These memories of the past, the years have flown on golden wings so very, very fast. Now I put them all back one by one, the ribbon and all the rest. I closed the lid and turned the key in my little treasure chest. Wow, that is so good. A short story by Addie S. Hutchins. What the crimes told. The chimes, what the chimes told or toiled, you know, the toiling of the chimes, a short story by Addie S. Hutchins. It was Christmas Eve. Last minute shoppers crowded the stores. of warmth and cheer prevailed in the bustling, jostling, good-natured crowd was a woman and a little girl. The child's eyes were big with mystery and glittering wonder of it all. Outside, the feathery flakes were falling, and the distance was heard in the sound of Christmas chimes. "Listen, dear, is it not beautiful?" said the mother. "Yes, mother, it is so pretty. But oh, it makes me sad," said the little girl. Oh yes, how well the mother knew why. Daddy had left them last Christmas Eve after a bitter quarrel. A quarrel full of bitter, thoughtless, hasty words, long since regretted by her at last. But no sign from John, no word, only this terrible, heartbreaking silence. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Oh well, she must pretend for the child's sake. "There's Auntie and Junior," said Edith. A lady entered into the store, followed by a red-cheeked lad, arms loaded with bundles. Soon they were hustling homeward, bundles laden, eager for their own fireside and Christmas preparation. After a merry time of stringing popcorn, trying mother's packages on the tree, many mysterious whisperings so dear the childhood hearts. "Good night," were said, and soon everything was quiet. Not until then did mother's face, the tears slowly dimmed her beautiful eyes. Her heart bursted in her at the lost, found relief in tears. Oh John," she sobbed as she hid her face in her hands. Wearily, she lay in the big easy chair with her memories. Wow. After a time, her sobs ceased and she slept while the stars looked down from above and the Christmas chimes rang on. Silently through the French window, a man stepped. He stopped as he saw the tree laden with childish toys. "Oh, my dear ones," he cried, as a sob bursted from his lips. I could only undo the past. The mother awakened and saw the tall, dearly loved form standing there with bowed head. A smile of joy and love transfigured her face. "John, oh John, at last you have returned," she cried. The man swung around. He had not seen the huddled figure in the chair. Mary, my darling wife," he said. "Can you ever forgive me?" He opened his arms and she was clasped in his close embrace, laughing and crying together. Soon there was a parting, a patter of little feet on the stairs. "I heard a noise," said Junior sleepily. "Is Santa Claus here?" Then as the children saw who it really was, they cried joyfully, "Daddy, Daddy, you've come back for always." "Yes, dear Daddy, for always." "Thank God," said their father as they drew them into his hungry arms, waiting arms. And as the bells rang out their message of peace on earth, goodwill toward men, and mother's eyes filled with happy tears, this time she had found peace at last, and the Christmas chimes rang. And the song that she has on the next page is "I'm just a sinner, walking life's highway, dark nights around me, and loud billows roar. I will ask if I know how for help along the way. I'm like a storm-tossed ship making for the shore. I would ask forgiveness. I would ask for love. I would ask for guidance. Take hold of my hand. From thee, Father of mankind, sent from heaven above, lead me, Father of mankind, to try sheltered lands. And the chorus, teach me how to pray. Help me, Lord, each day. On my knees, I'm asking you, teach me how to pray. Some Memories of Boone Light by Shirley Kelly. This is excerpts from the book of Solitary Vigils at Boone Island Light by William O. Thomas. It said, I came into the world June 6 in 1922. I was born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, as my dad was stationed on the Isle of Shoals at the time. When I was still an infant, he was transferred to Boone Island, located 7 miles out in the ocean from any land. It was just a pile of rocks, 700 feet round, 300 feet across, with a duplex house, a single house, a tower, 3 storage buildings, and 3 outhouses. We had boardwalks for getting from one building to the other. My earliest memories are from when I was about 4 years old. My sister and my 2 half-brothers and my mom had spent the winter months in a small town of York Beach, where the older children attended school. I couldn't wait for summer to come so I could go back to the Lighthouse. As a kid, it was my idea of paradise. There were always 3 families stationed on the Lighthouse. Sometimes there were as many as a dozen kids, ranging from ages 4 to 19. My dad was the keeper, and the other men were the first and second assistants. We lived in the single house that had 3 bedrooms, a dining room, a living room, a huge kitchen, and a pantry. Mama did the dishes and all of the baking in the pantry. And the sink had a hand pump that pumped the water from the cistern in the cellar. And only water we had for our use was rainwater, which was collected into the cistern by a strange method. There were 6 little holes around the house's foundation, and when it rained, we gathered up some special cans that looked like coffee cans with built-in spouts on the bottom and bottom side, and we shoved one in each hole, which connected to the pipe in the cellar where it drained the water into the cistern. So we got out our groceries once a month. That was the only time we could enjoy fresh fruit and vegetables, although we could keep potatoes and onions for quite a long time. Mama bought her flour by the barrel and sugar 25 pounds at a time. She was always baking, especially bread. My sister and I would wait patiently for her to make us some fried dough. There was always something to do on the island. We made kites and flew them anytime, as there was always a breeze coming off the ocean. On the 4th of July, we sat on the rocks and watched the fireworks from the mainland. We could see them from many small towns that dotted the coastline. It was so pretty. We sat there, drinking in hot chocolate, and overheard the every time there was a burst of light on the shore. One 4th of July, we had a hail storm and put out a big pail and caught enough hail so Mama could make ice cream. What a treat. We ate all kinds of seafood. My favorite were lobster, crabs, mackerel. My dad had about a dozen lobster traps. Just before it was time to go to the mainland for groceries and mail, he would haul up the pots and take lobsters to town for his friends. Once a year, there was this very rich man who would bring his friends on a fishing trip out to the Lighthouse. Then he would bring them onto the island for a fish chowder dinner cooked by Mom. He always brought hard candies for the kids and 5-pound boxes of chocolates for my Mom. My dad had a big walk-in closet that was for medical supplies only. It was kept locked at all times. I remember once when one of the older boys cut his wrist and Dad had to stitch it up. My father and I played on the rocks before barefooted and stubbed off our toenails and bled all over everything. One time a fisherman crushed his hand between two boats and he was brought ashore to the island for emergency treatment. My Mom was no help in this situation as she couldn't stand the sight of blood. So my dad called for help. I had to hold Mom's hand in a pan of disinfectant and bathe it with cotton. Then I helped bandage the fisherman's hand. One day, when we were in the mainland going to school, my dad came in to help us pack to get back to the island for another summer. The day before we planned to leave, Dad said, was going down to the firehouse to chew the fat with the boys. Well, he never came back. When Mom called the firehouse, they said they had never been there. The Boy Scouts, police, and neighbors combed the woods for him. After 2 days, the police issued a bulletin about him that he was found the next day in Ellsworth, Maine, his birthplace. They brought him back to York Beach. Apparently, he had suffered a sunstroke on the Lighthouse with results in amnesia. From York Beach, he was sent to the Marine Hospital in Portland, and the government retired him from the Lighthouse service while he was still in the hospital. My oldest brother was working in Portland at the time and found us a place to rent, and we moved there within a month. I was 11 at the time and was devastated to think I would never see my lighthouse again, and I never did. This was Shirley and Addie Hutchins, Harold and Addie Hutchins. This was her poem book, and that's the Portland light right there. If you've ever been to Maine, you've probably seen the Portland light. And we've overdone our time, 58 whole minutes, but it was worth it. And to read my grandmother's book and have the memories of my grandmother and how we used to visit them and how wonderful they were to us children. Well, we will see you next time. Right. Bye-bye.